Hey guys, today we'll be spending some time with the ladies from the Mistress class, an initiative created by Miss Marie Ang. She was a guest on TFC and she came on the show earlier to share with us a little bit on how to better manage our finances in a marriage from her viewpoint as a marriage counselor. So do check out the episode and stay with us today to learn more about the unique financial challenges that ladies face in the world today. Good day, guys. I get it. Many of us want to learn how to invest. Secretly, we may even believe we can do better than the financial planner. But probably the real issue is the distrust we have with financial professionals. We're not sure about their biases or their intentions. How about trying out a robot? No feelings there. Getting the job done in a relatively objective way. Try out Stashaway today, one of the leading robo-advisors in Singapore and Malaysia. Check it out at thefinancialcoconut.com/stashaway to get 50% off your fees for 6 months. Get started on your investment journey in a simple, fuss-free manner. Link is in the description below. Good morning, everyone. Today we are joined by Miss Marie Ang, Miss Evelyn Chu, Miss Jeanette Chan from the Mistress class. They represent ladies from different phases of life, from the young upstart to the entrepreneur women to the super mummy. And we will be exploring their unique financial challenges in their day-to-day lives as women in the modern era. So welcome on the show, ladies.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for taking time to hang out together. But before we begin, right, to go into all the juicy bits, I would love to hear a little bit more about you ladies. What do you do, and what got you to be part of this class?
Hi, my name is Marie. I'm the Managing Director of Solomon's Guild and also the head mistress of Mistress class. So when I first started Mistress class, everybody kind of like gave me that weird look, like mistress, the word, And but actually if you look at dictionary, there are 11 definitions of mistress, and out of the 11 definitions, 10 are good ones, which means that you take care of yourself, you're in charge of your home, you're a refined person and all that. Now, but that's another story for another day. So with that, right, I hand over to Jeanette, who is a financial guru that I aspire to be, and she inspires me too.
Thanks a lot, Marie. Hey, hi everyone, I'm Jeanette, and I'm a financial advisor with St. James's Place Wealth Management. So basically, I help people to plan for a stronger financial future through prudent investment management and proactive retirement planning. So it's great to be here today with you ladies and Reggie.
Hi, my name is Evelyn. I'm actually a second gen in my family business in the steel industry. So I'm also managing my own sports media business. It's called Ministry of Adventure. So it's a blessing, to be invited over here to share about financial literacy from a millennial's perspective.
Based on what you ladies have shared, I'm sure you transcend a wide array of experiences. So I'm just kind of curious, maybe you could share with us what are some of your ongoing challenges that you are facing, unique to you, right? And what are you championing, for women out there?
So I'm a solopreneur, and people think that being an entrepreneur is very sexy and all that, but there are lots of things inside. And when we are employees, right, it's very what you call tunnel focus. So you just focus on your job. But when you are an entrepreneur, you basically have to have hands on practically in every aspect of your business. And of course, finance is one aspect of it. During this COVID-19, I realized that, the biggest thing is where is your next contract going to come in, whether you can continue to do what you do, and how you're going to get your business going and so on and so forth. But of course, if you have some money on reserves, you can kind of like say, okay, I can switch or pivot my business. But when you have no money in that respect coming into the business, this is one of the biggest issues, how the business can keep going, because fundamentally there are three things that keeps the business going. Is not just money, but also the people as well as your products and services. So my challenge in this COVID, of course, would be the financial aspect of things, like how can we keep sustaining the business, how are we going to pay the rent, pay the employees and all those things. So that would be
the current challenge you're facing.
The current challenge, exactly.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
I think tapping on to what Maria mentions about the business challenges, right? As for me, myself, because I'm managing my own business and for my family business, I guess the key thing is about how can we adapt the new technologies, and especially in this COVID situations. And for me, my mission is also have to bring in the second wave of success, that what first generations people has built on. Yeah, so that's the things that I think for my perspective, and my generations, right, we actually have to face. Yeah.
That's great. So I'm Jeanette here. Just like to share a bit of background, maybe about myself. Over the past 15 years, I've moved 12 times over 3 continents. Mainly in the exciting world of investment banking, and I only returned to Singapore last year.
Why?
But talk about your
Why?
Why?
Why come back? So exciting out there, right?
Well, that's another story for another day, as he says. That's too long for this.
Yeah.
But talk about stretching your comfort zone. I guess I enjoy embracing new experiences. I love the great outdoors. There's so much to discover and learn, I think, if we have an open mind and adventurous spirit. But since I came back, my children have gone through 3 different school systems, so UK, Australia, and now they love the exams in Singapore. So I'm very passionate about talking to actually women, working mums in this aspect, trying to juggle it all. And especially in terms of financial literacy, because I'm doing wealth management now, and I think women just sometimes leave too much to their spouses to take care of, and I feel that is this is a way to empower them, to start with education first, awareness, and then from there, they feel a bit more confident, more comfortable to talk about things like that.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk to your kids about exam in Singapore.
Oh yes,
They really love exams in Singapore.
inverted commas.
Yeah, okay. Now I get a better idea.
Yeah,
yes.
but that's another really big topic,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Which I'm very passionate about. We can talk about that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
well.
So we definitely can talk about like employment future for the next generation. What are some of the challenges? Are the schools preparing our kids for future employment in the market, right? So
Yeah.
that is a whole different topic, and I'm sure we can have a lot to talk about. I also want to focus on working moms slightly later, but seems like in the house we have a lot of entrepreneurs, right? Everyone's kind of like very entrepreneurial. So my question goes to Evelyn, and I just want to hear from you. What are the challenges, when you as a woman in the house, you take over the family's business, or you are trying to rise up to the family's expectation, because it's a second generation. So from my experiences interacting with people that are doing second generation business, right, it's a different ball game, right? There is a lot of family expectation, and then they want breakthrough, but then you need to work within family grounds. There are a lot of these kind of very unique social structures that you work with, and being in such a sector which is like super male dominated, right? What are your thoughts, and what are some of the challenges that you face? Share with us, please.
Yeah, I think the key thing is about finding our key identity in this ground as well, because for my friends, we are also a second generations, right? We actually have that, when we're born, we actually have that expectation on us, that we can bring the success that our families have brought up earlier on. Yet, the market has been changing, new technology arises, and we are more adapted to those kind of social media, or those kind of digital marketing kind of skill sets, and which is not so receptive for our family as well, because that's not what they try, what they do, that's where they have their expectation over there as
They
well.
still give flyer back then, that kind of. They give print the whole thing,
Yeah,
and then
correct,
send to the
correct,
folder,
correct.
nice, sweet, send to the address, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
correct. So one of the example that I can share is that when I just joined a family business, I totally kind of relate to what you're saying. They would just drop me the booklets, ask me to go and call, like yellow page, those kind of thing. I was like, what? I was totally culture shocked about that. So, but I bring up to my dad, and my dad say, oh, this is what we did, in the past. So he say, you learn first. Yeah. So long story short, actually, I have tried. I think one of the thing is that how can we manage their expectation as well, because I think there's certain trust and confidence they need from us. So like the second generation, we can't really come in with the perspective, I want to revolutionize everything, I want to disrupt everything, which they will not be able to adapt with that also. So we need to have the empathy. Yeah, first of all, we need to have the empathies towards the first generations. Secondly is that we need to have the patience, to build their trust and confidence with us. And thirdly is that we shouldn't lose our identity. Yeah, despite what they say, they have their perception. We also must, voice out. Yeah, we say we can voice out with sharing statistic, data, and also the track records that those people who actually like have in a new wave of success, right? How do they do that? And then to convince the first generation. Yeah.
And well, thanks for sharing. I'm sure we don't want to go into all the family juicy gossips lah. Okay, that one next time. Okay, but you know, I'm sure there's like exactly what you say about like managing expectations.
Yeah.
Right. So in our societal context, right, there are a lot of expectations for women, right, and I believe the changing landscape of what women does, you know, today, right? In the past, you don't come to the workforce and now you have to do the workforce, but then you still got to take care of family, right? So there are a lot of different kind of new expectations for ladies. So I just want to give you ladies some time to talk about what are some of these expectations that is very, very concerning to you, you know, that you have to juggle it, but actually 很难 one, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I can share my perspective as a working mom in a sense that, you know, trying to have it all. You know, I want a successful and rewarding career. I want a loving marriage, you know, happy, well-adjusted children scoring straight A's and who don't like to play games, you know, and super fit and national sports people, you know. And then at the same time, I want to run marathons. I want to do so much. Spartan race. Yeah, we're going to do that, right? Yeah, so how do we do that? You know, I just want to share with everyone, it's not a myth. It's possible, okay, but, you know, you really need to be very clear about your goals, what you want to achieve, what you want to do, and also, you know, have very, very good time management. Yeah, and, you know, don't expect to sleep too much, right? Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
So, I mean, I think it's really a matter of, you know, trying to do too much, actually. You know, I think women tend to be quite good at multitasking as well. You know, I mean, in terms of work, I feel that sometimes we do too much, you know, on the job. You know, if you're working, you find to take on a lot. But the problem is you're too shy about it. You know, so you're very good silent workers. You know, we do a lot and we say, oh yeah, I can do that, I can do this, no. But you work till really late, you know, or you work weekends, you know. And I feel that is what we are lacking as women. We don't, it's not that we want to brag about it, but we should be more visible, especially to management, to our bosses, to their bosses, you know, and something that I think we really lack and we need to improve upon. Because then that also leads to the next thing about, you know, gender gap, pay gap, you know, in a way, because if you're not visible, people don't know. Perception is key, right? Especially these days. And, you know, we can work silently in the background, but, you know, we should be also going out to office social events, you know, and mixing around with other people, other departments even, you know. But we tend to just want to do our work and then rush home, whether it's, you know, to our families, etc., which we're trying to juggle as well. But I think if we are talking about the workspace, we really need to show what we know.
Yes.
Rather than just do it and then, you know, let somebody else take the credit, which
Yes.
we seem to be okay with. I mean, not we, okay, I'm not, but I
Okay.
think most women tend to. It's like, oh, it's okay, never mind, I can do it. And then they just, you know, kind of silently in the background. So I'd like to encourage, you know, more women to stand up, speak up for themselves.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And let's double down on that point about pay gap, right?
Yeah.
So from what I get from you, what you were saying just now, it is very much about because women, you do all these things, but then you don't talk about it, right? So you're a silent doer, right? And then you do, and then you pass to your boss, and then the boss go and present, and then it's like, 这个是我做的, you know, that kind, right? So you don't present yourself, so then it impedes your ability to move up because you're not recognized for your work, right? So that is one form of pay gap, essentially, right? Because you don't get promoted for the work that you do. But I think when we talk about gender pay gap, the very real discussion is about, do you do the same thing and be paid lesser just because you're a lady, right? So I want to hear, like, do you ladies have such an experience? You're actually doing the same thing. 我们是一样 doing the same stuff, same years of experience, but actually you're paid lesser. And, you know, how if that's the case, is that the truth? And how do you feel about it?
So, pay equality and purpose-driven life is two separate things, because, you know, you can have a lot of pay, but if you're not happy in what you do, you don't feel purposeful. It still defeats the whole purpose. So I boil it down to 5 things, which is, you know, purpose, relationship, identity, mentality, and esteem. And all these are what drives us sometimes, in a sense. For example, if you have a purpose-driven life, it doesn't matter they pay less or pay more, or even volunteer for that matter. You're happy doing it. So in that sense, are you happy doing what you're doing? If you're not happy doing what you're doing, then you are not pursuing your so-called passion. For me, I use the word conviction. Yeah. So that's one of them. Now, your relationship with the people, in that sense, do you relate to them because you have something to gain from them? Or do you think that, your relationship will help you climb the ladder to success? What does that mean? It means that, do you just say, I am better than most people? But are you? Yeah. Are you taking time to upskill? Are you taking time to, learn to relate? Harvard University, so I stand corrected, did a test on 100 students kind of thing. And I think that 76% of them fail. And why they fail was because the questions within are people related than process or knowledge based. So if that's the case, right, anything can be learned. To be honest with you, but relating with people is one of the hardest skills. Learning to listen is definitely one of the things that we need to learn. Then it comes to identity. So just now, Evelyn said about identity. Identity is talking about not just gender. It's talking about how solid you are. Do you have an affirmed identity that you are who you are? That you're not moved by the trend, the current trend, or what's happening out there, or the next bling in that sense. So your identity should be, I'm a human being first, with all the emotions, mental, spiritual, physical, whatever that may be in that sense. And then the mentality, do you have strong mental forte? Are you easily swayed by things? Or are you emotionally driven in a sense? You think, therefore you act. But actually, no, we think, we don't act. We think, we act based on our emotions, what drives our emotions in a sense. Last but not least is our esteem. Now, why is it so important in a sense? Because, I was just having a conversation with somebody yesterday. I said that, a lot of women, I said women, are driven to have relationship because that can be toxic. And it's not to do with the toxic relationship, but it's their self-esteem. So it's almost like when you have low self-esteem, the kind of people that you attract are not the desirable type in a sense. And if you have high self-esteem, I'm not talking about arrogance, then the kind of people that you attract would be of a higher caliber in a sense. I'm not talking about rich or anything. We're not talking about all these things. I'm just saying that the kind of people that you draw in is dependent on how you behave, how you in a sense, like, have a higher self-esteem, confidence, all these things are basically. So when it comes to things like, pay gap and all these things, again, I think if I were to put it in a one-liner, would be like, are you happy in what you're doing? Because it doesn't matter how much money is given to you, you may not be happy in what you do. Yeah.
I fully understand that point.
Yeah.
And I get that, like, guy or girl, man or women, you want to reach the level of satisfaction, the level of assurance, and ultimately live the life that you believe and the life that you love beyond just about, how much am I paid?
Yes.
Right. But I think the discussion around gender pay gap, it's definitely beyond just the pay.
Correct.
Right. It's definitely about stereotypical viewpoints and old social norms, right?
Yes.
Which is why I think it is. I'm not a lady but I feel like it is something that a lot of women are concerned about, not because that I'm actually being paid less, but because I feel like I'm not as worth, although I'm doing the same thing, right? So do you want to kind of share a bit more?
This one I totally can add on some point, because especially my ladies like my age, right? We kind of, most of them are single, like we are late 20s, right? Going to the age of getting married. So one of the key things that I experienced, right, is that my friends some of my friends, they are the hiring manager. So there was like, we were having a chat about this kind of gender stereotyping and stuff like that. What they shared with me is that because women like in the late 20s, right, they will definitely consider the point that we are going to get married soon, and then they will ask these questions, are you getting married soon, and things like that, because they will expect you, maybe you will have to take more leave, maternity leave, then that will affect the productivity of the company, because you have a new family, you need to take care of a family, the the new kids that's coming to the family and stuff like that. So the hiring manager will definitely will have that consideration. So truth be told lah, yeah. So that's one thing that among my peers, right, we actually have been discussing about this thing that we should. Is it like a social norm thing, or is it something that we should actually bring out, to question about this? Yeah. Second thing is that my personal experience, right? I think other than the payment gap and things like that, I think it's also the opportunities wise as well. So when earlier days, when I was my early 20s, I do my startups, like tech startups, right? The personal experience that I got when I went to VCs as a female founder with my CTO and my team, right? The VCs, right, know that we are doing fundraising. So when you look at me, say that, so who is the boss? And I say that I'm the founder. And then he just, in the front of my face, he just say this, I know that women generally spend more money. Yeah, so in another way, it's like this startup is going to spend all my money, things like that. So, and then he's like, switch away and talk to my CTO and my team. It's like I'm invisible there, She will like ask those technical questions, think that I don't know what they're asking for. So that's the very, very real life experience that hit on my face about gender stereotyping, which I'm very excited to share about this because that is like at a very young age, right? And I already experienced that. So I can't imagine, right, women, right, when they grow older, the generation go passed down, right? What are the challenges they are gonna face more?
That is very real, like, because it is so real that there are VCs that are women focused.
Yeah.
Right, if it's not a thing, then we don't need to do that, right?
Yeah.
In actuality, right? So those are the solutions that are trying to be crafted so that we can then breach that dissonance over time, right? But I think Jeanette has a lot to say about like women spend a lot of money. Just so she got reaction, right? So wow, where are we, right? So yes, could you share with us like why that reaction when men say women spend a lot of money? Right, essentially that's the context, right?
Yeah.
A man said that women spend a lot of money, and you don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to hear your emotion, your feeling.
Yeah. In fact, women are very good at saving money. They're too good at saving money.
Coming from a wealth manager, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, men spend a lot of big ticket items. Women sometimes the small things, and they all add up, right? But I did a research recently. There was a paper published by NUS and MOM, funny enough, in January, and it shows that women in Singapore earn about 6% less than their male colleagues doing the same job. And they took into account the age, education level, and industry. And also, men are becoming increasingly overrepresented in higher-paying occupations, while women in lower-paying roles. And actually, in my personal opinion, I think the gap is wider than that. And maybe that's because I come from the banking and financial services sector, where you tend to have a higher pay range. So again, it comes back to why that is so, right? I mean, even in Singapore, where we're so progressive, we're so developed, there's a lot of opportunities for women in Singapore actually. But again, I think it comes down to that silent worker mentality, and not wanting to stand out, and being the supportive role sometimes, which I think maybe a mindset needs to change around that. For women, a lot of my friends, I say, do you know how much you should be paid doing this role? There's so much research out there. If you go Google it, this position, this title, what is the median pay range? Go and check it out. How many times have you talked to your boss about a possible pay rise? I'm very sure men do that a lot more, and maybe they get headhunted as well. Then they have a reference and they say, oh, okay, somebody's offering me 10% more. But, if you really do well in what you do, don't be afraid, and it can be something, an open conversation you can have. And maybe that is what is needed, because then the boss, if you don't ask, you never get, right? And so that, I think, is one thing that maybe could be improved. Yeah. But I would say that women, one point that Evelyn said was about, taking time off, or, to start a family, have children. And that is very true. That is so true. You need the time. You want to spend the time especially when they're young. But that doesn't mean you're less productive. I know so many women who work crazy hours because after they've done everything for the kids, cooking, cleaning, and everything, and putting them in bed, reading bedtime stories, and they go back and they switch on their computer, and they just continue going on. And, they make sure the presentation is perfect. They want to get the job done because they feel they need to compensate for the time that they're not in the office, and they may have to leave early, but when I was working in the UK, I learned something. I was working till 7 or 8 o'clock one day, and my boss came up to me and said, "Are you okay? What's wrong with you? Why are you the only one left in the office? That means you are not, are we giving you too much? Or, are you, he was actually looking at it as a point where I was not being efficient or productive. I'm not doing well, and therefore I had to stay late. But that is that's maybe another different thing about, perception again.
Yeah, cultural perception.
Cultural
That's very
perception.
different, yes.
You leave early, you leave at 6 o'clock because you need to pick up the kids or whatever, then you are lazy. But this person actually tried to overcompensate, I think, by doing it late at night, even over weekends, just to make sure that they can do it well.
Yeah.
And so I feel that that's something that women, also, should recognize, and their bosses as well, hiring managers, as you say, Evelyn. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I just want to add on to what I mentioned earlier about the 5 things, the PRIME kind of thing, because at the end of the day, stereotyping comes from misunderstanding also. Can I just say that? So in a sense that if you are, like what Jeanette say, you're good in what you do, be confident enough to step up and say, I can do this, I need to be paid this.
Yes.
So your self-esteem comes in, because a lot of us are like so afraid of saying things because of we think we are not worth this much, therefore we dare not ask.
That's right.
So why not ask? Like, I'll give you an example. When my company, previous company, I work at MNC, got taken over, right, merger and acquisition process, there was this spot for me that, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And I was always been stereotyped as a personal assistant until, the new CEO came. And then he asked me, this is a brand new sheet of paper right now. Where do you think you fit into this new company? And I put my hand up and I said, I want to do corporate affairs. And I want to be head of corporate affairs. Now, and I was like, and he was like, okay, good. So what do you want to do? I said, I will craft up my roles and responsibilities. I will write it out what I want to do. Because after all, right, some of the roles and responsibilities are published in the newspapers, are copy and paste. It doesn't even make sense, for a certain position. Why not carve out your own destiny, in the sense, in a company? As a woman, why not do that? Because we are very flexible. We know the job. We don't just know the job, the functions of the job, but we know what entails in that job, the functions of the job, and how to relate to people. Women are by nature quite relatable, and also the fact that, we can have nurturing attitude. We can nurture the younger generations. We can guide them through some storms of life. So this is where I think that if you talk about pay gender, you don't talk about payment for that sort of thing. People watch us. Sometimes our payments come in the form of endorsements, accolades, being recognized. May not necessarily be the actual financial payment . Yeah. So this is very important to all the ladies out there, or even men. Let's put it this way. We are all recognized for the talents we bring to the table. We're not recognized for, the gender. We're not recognized for just being a woman or being a man. Yeah. So that's my
So
my
it
thought
does sound like you already moved past that view of like gender already, right? It's like from Marie's perspective, what I'm sensing here is that you've already moved past this whole like, oh, you men, women, doesn't matter, right? This is you being a great human, being a great, fighter for your life, and you live the life as you want to be. It doesn't matter, what you have, right? It doesn't matter your gender. So I think that is very amicable, very interesting.
Thank you.
But then, from a guy's viewpoint, right, there will always be this like, we don't understand how ladies do some stuff, right? It's like, like how they always say like, ladies from Mars, is it? Ladies from Venus, right?
Yeah.
And then guys from Mars was like, my God, we live in a different world, right? Like, we think we know, but actually when we sit down and we talk, we don't really know. So then there's this one thing that, I think there's a lot of stereotypes around. So because I'm not women, I don't try to act like I know. I'm trying to ask you ladies about, right? So it's like, there's this stereotype that, women keep hidden cash. Right, 私房钱, right, hide in the wardrobe, deep down, got this one box down there. If you can dig, your mom's drawer sure can find it, although I never found it. Don't ask me why I dig there, but anyway. So I was just kind of curious, like, do you ladies actually have this kind of like, you feel like the need to keep a special stash away so that, your partner doesn't know that you have this kind of excess cash for whatever reason that it is?
Now let us take a break and we will be back with more questions for the ladies in the house. For all of you who have some interesting questions for them, reach out to us on our socials, on our Telegram group, and yeah, we'll direct the questions over to the ladies at the Mistress class. Hey guys, I know you're expecting an ad, but yes, at this moment, I just want to thank you for supporting us, and I hope that you can share this podcast with one other person today. At the same time, if you really enjoy what we are doing, head over to whichever platform you're consuming our podcast and drop us a review so that more people can get in touch with the Financial Coconut. Meanwhile, take care, stay healthy, and keep learning. See ya!
Actually, when you talk about that, I'm thinking about wardrobe. And I think it's not hidden in a wardrobe. I think it's actually up front on display, where they spend the money on the clothes, the shoes, the bags, right? Maybe not so much these few months, right? But I think it's widely believed that women do tend to save more. And as you said earlier, tend to be more conservative. And somehow have this feeling like they need to, maybe it's a maternal instinct as well. And research also shows that mothers' retirement pot is also lower than the man's. Fathers, okay? And of course, this is largely due to women taking time off work, right? To be the main carer in the family and kind of losing maybe 10 years of their productive, I wouldn't say productive, sorry. I would say, earning capabilities. Because some of them, even when they try to get back to work, it's hard to get opportunities, right? Because 10 years out of the market. So how do they do that? We were saying that they save more, right?
Like they secretly save and I don't talk about it, right? Is that the truth? Because when you're coming from the whole idea of retirement planning, right? I thought that was a great point, and I'm not really like at the level of retirement planning. So when I think about it, if I'm married, then retirement should be a together thing, ma.
Yeah.
But what you objectively brought out is that retirement is a separate thing, right? The man has a certain pot, the lady has a certain pot.
Yeah.
Right. So is that how retirement planning should be for women, or is it as a family entity, should we plan it together? Or how does that, secure the lady's financial interests in the long run?
Yeah. Yeah. So if I'm talking about typically if both work, right? Okay, then the big part in Singapore is the CPF. So that's your retirement pot, so
inevitable,
to speak, right? But if you stop working, of course, your retirement pot, becomes smaller, right? So what I do is encourage a lot of the fathers or men to actually, transfer some of their CPF balance to their spouse, okay? Or even the other way around. Sometimes it's a man who is, a stay-at-home. Because when it gets too lopsided, right, it becomes a problem. You know that for CPF, when you get to 65, you get a certain monthly annuity from CPF. And if you don't have that much in there, you don't get it, right? So in a way, it's balancing out and providing for the other half so that at least it's more equitable, right? Because women don't really get paid, by working in the home in a way, right? Yeah. So, but definitely couples should plan together, of course. But what I'm saying is that if they don't plan, this is what happens, right? And the other thing about saving is sometimes I think women also feel that they somehow with numbers or stock market and they just switch off. Like, it's too complicated.
Very stressed.
Very stressed, but they don't just, they can have economic degrees, but it's like, oh, no, I leave that to my husband. Oh, I hear that so much. And that's really something I feel, if let's say you start young as a millennial, just have an interest in it. And I do a lot now in terms of that aspect, trying to have webinars and actually just open it out there, have questions. There's no silly question, in fact. And women also tend to do a lot more research, right? They tend before they make a decision. So maybe that's why they tend to be more, they tend to save more in that sense, yeah. But saving has its own risk as well in terms of inflation, for example. So
when what you said, right, there was this one term is leave it to the husband.
Yeah.
Right. And what is the issue with that? Like, because it sounds like there is an issue with that. So I think that is an interesting viewpoint, right? It's like, why is leaving things to the husband maybe not as applicable today, whereas it was actually applicable in the past? Because now actually women works, it's not everything like 不是只有你在赚, right? So women contribute to family, income also. So then is there a need to also plan everything, or can they still leave it to the husband? I think that's the interesting.
I think, can I take this question? So, my mentor shared with us this story. His wife deliberately went to withdraw $10,000 cash and put it in a little box. And in this little box, she put it inside the cupboard. Right, no secret to the husband. Just put it in
Exactly
the
the
cupboard.
stash. I know her.
Yes. So, yeah. And then so the husband asked her, why you do that for? I mean, we have a lot of money. They are millionaires and all that. He says, why you do that? Why do you want to put aside this $10,000 cash? She said, it is not a matter of putting that cash. It's a matter of my peace of mind and the security that I feel that there's some money sitting there, kind of thing. So I come back to my story, right? Is this, my mother saves like crazy. She virtually stingy on everything. She will go and buy recon aircon, right? And then it will last for 6 months, the aircon drop off, and then she will keep doing that. Buy fridge that's like all recon, everything is recon, because she thinks she's saving money. But what she's wasting is all those electricity bill that goes up because of old stuff and all that, right? And she would eat porridge with my poor dad, and save money, and save to the point where like they're not looking after themselves. So towards the last part, before my mom passed away 2 years plus ago, right, they were very skinny and scrawny. So it becomes like, yes, I got no mortgage to pay, I got some money, I feel secure. But on the other hand, right, these things are all falling apart, and so I think that the driving force is actually the security aspect of like knowing, I don't owe anybody. My children are not having to suffer. Because if we spend anyhow, then the children will suffer, the children will have to pay mortgage, then the debt is passed down generation to generation. So when I came back from Hong Kong back to Singapore, right, I opened up their savings and I said, look, enough of this nonsense, because what happens is their health suffers. So we end up, instead of saving 300, you spend 6,000. So it went into the reverse of all these things. Yes, she may have security of mind, but the health is affected. The family is affected in that sense. So, yes, we as women want to save. We as women have this maternal instinct to not let our children suffer or not let the family, financial situation to be in dire straits. But you got to understand, right? Does your saving really help the situation or make it worse? Yes, you can have security, but how can you have security? Perhaps like what Jeanette said, perhaps learn something about, stocks and bonds and shares and all this. And I would encourage all the ladies out there to read this book by Kim Kiyosaki called Rich Woman. And she talks about women that, pretty much dependent on the husband, and then the husband run away or die then they virtually don't know what to do after that. So I encourage you to read that book.
Yeah, tapping on that, I would like to add on my personal experience to the point that you mentioned about leave it to the husband. So I have the real experience from my cousin. My cousin is actually quite well-to-do. It's like in Malaysia, he's got a few bungalow house. And the wife actually is the housewife. So she doesn't have keep a secret stash, because the husband would not allow her to do that. Okay so she's like happily living with him So one day, right, she found out that in the shopping mall she caught that my cousin. Okay, I hope my cousin is not listening to this.
I'm sure he will be listening to this.
My cousin actually, right, was the one that telling her that, right, he doesn't like to go shopping. But on one fine day, she caught that my cousin actually hang out with another mistress. Yeah, sorry to say.
Woman.
Okay, woman.
Yes.
Okay, use the right word. Okay.
Yeah. There are 12 definitions in the dictionary. Only one is the not good one.
Got it,
I remember. I got listening class.
Yes.
Yeah. So come back to the story. So she found out, and she called my cousin in front of face to caught him, red-handed. So when they get back home, right, my cousin actually told her that you can divorce me or not, right? Because she doesn't have money, man. Then you divorce me, you will lose, because right, the court the divorce court things like that, right? All need a lot of money. You don't have money, right? It's all from me, right? So she was very upset. She can't do anything. Yeah. So one thing I want, and also she doesn't she shared with my mom actually. She didn't trust that she can go back to the workforce also because of she's already unskilled, not working in the society for very many years. So I would just so she just quiet laws, keep it quiet, and then my cousin is just go around. But of course I can't tell her to divorce my cousin because my cousin is also my relative also. So it's like in this kind of vicious cycle in the family dynamics, right, that cause an issue lah. So I would say that I mean from my age, right, that see all this saga that happen, right, I would just say that it's not about just keep that stash of money. It's also like what Marie said about security, not just about resources and also emotionally, and also for her self-esteem as well. It's a power to step out, voice out, to walk away confidently from the relationship. Yeah. So I was quite sad lah to see her lost all those things from her, and also I think my cousin's son is called nephew, right? Yeah, has to go through all this vicious cycle. So I would also like to recommend that ladies in my age, right, usually we don't think about like keeping the secret stash of money, especially millennials nowadays. We will spend more and save less. Yeah, it's because we will think that I still got a long way to go, in this stage of life. And then maybe the future husband, we can get a rich man, right? And then think later. So now just go travel, go ladies.
Crazy rich Asians,
yeah,
right?
crazy rich Asian. Yeah, and buy luxury stuff, go expensive.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is
stress.
no stress lah. They say because after
yeah.
married no freedom. So
Yeah.
now go and crazy rich Asian.
But the worst is not crazy rich Asian, it's
YOLO.
crazy Asian, not rich.
Yeah, correct. I also want to take this chance, right, for the women that are listening to this as well. Yeah, I think I read a book about rich women as well. I'm blessed that I have this opportunity to get myself financially trained as well, because this is not what the school has taught us as
Yes.
well. We have to really go and learn it and not rely on other people to
Don't
pave
depend on-
pave our life. lah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and if I can add on, I mean, this is exactly why I'm passionate about doing what I do, because it starts with awareness. If we continue doing what we do, then you don't want to be in a stage where you have no choice, and that is like at the mercy of. I mean, that's the worst thing that can happen in a marriage, right? And it becomes almost like a power play. Right, and you're being bullied in that way, yeah. So we need to actually be defensive in a way, but also it's very interesting actually. I mean, I don't know, to me, but I know it's very daunting, and it can be something that if you really don't like, it's, you can be very good at a lot of other things, but that can be an area that you really don't know where to start, for example. So find a good friend or someone, or join a group.
Join the class.
Join the club, and find a good financial advisor, a professional one, and then go from there. Get someone to hold your hand and then go together. You don't have to be alone in this, right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of these things, right, they all stem from changing family and social dynamics, right? Because in the past, women didn't have a choice. So all these discussion didn't exist because no choice, right?
Yeah.
But now, because there is a choice and there's a push towards women empowerment and the independent women, then although it solves one problem, but it opened a whole new set of problems, like how do you manage your finances, and how do you manage your finances and your husband's finances, and then how do you manage the family structure and all these kind of different dynamics that we can go on and on and on and on about. So I'm sure we cannot finish everything in one day. There'll be so much more, and I definitely hope that you ladies will be interested to come back. Yes.
Next episode, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We'll come back again next
Yeah.
episode. But I think one thing that you ladies can share, because you're at a different phase of your life, and I'm curious, like, is there a change in like spending patterns when you go from a girl to a woman? Right? Do you see yourself spend differently? Right? Like exactly like what Evelyn said. Right? Young, just play, have fun, it's okay, right? Just go and do your crazy rich Asian stuff. At what point do you decide that, okay, now I need to switch and actually look further? How does that affect your spending patterns?
I think it's also to stem from family, influence. Yeah, so if you are born into a rich family, you may think that everything is honky dory for you, kind of thing. So I have coaches that are filthy rich, but the baggage that they have from being born in a rich family is actually unbelievable that we wouldn't think of. For example, I relate one case to you, which may not be related to financial, but it has everything to do with being born into a rich family. So pictures like Crazy Rich Asian, unfortunately, is a story. Okay, so may not happen in real life. In that sense. So what happened was I was at a very rich person's house, and then the mistress of the house, okay. So and she was trying to pour us a glass of water. And she has always been in a rich family where she got servants and all that. So when she tried to pour the glass, she broke the glass on the floor. And what she did was she just stood there and stared at the broken pieces. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know to take a broom, to do all these things. It was her husband, who was not from a rich family, who was the one that says, okay, don't step on the glass, step out of the glass area, move aside. He was the one that took the broom and the dustpan, everything, to sweep it out. So, doesn't give you that kind of the life's training, like, in that sense. So it comes down to emotions and all that. How do you deal with a lot of money? How do you deal with no money? There are two different spectrum kind of thing. So my culture, in that sense, I'm born in a middle income family, but my mother has never, in a sense, like, spoil us. We have to learn to save money. We have to learn to, like, spend money. But when we buy something, she will always say, what you need it for? Do you need it because you want it or need it or whatever reason for it, kind of thing? And she will always, like, encourage us to, not just save money, to just spend wisely, in a sense, more on needs than wants. Yeah. But then you have another generation, it's like, spend. But then the thing is, at the end of the day, right, you open up your cupboard and you get an avalanche of stuff coming down, right? And you're like, what do I do with them? Put on Carousel.
So what I'm picking up here is that you're saying that spending habits is more generational rather than transformational. That means, like,
Correct.
You don't actually change your spending habits over time, but it is a lot more packed to the generation that you're in.
Yes and no. If all things being equal, COVID didn't happen. Let's say, for example, right, you will continue to spend. But if you hit a crisis in life, financial crisis in life, you will definitely change your spending habits.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Jeanette? You've traveled so many different places. I'm sure, even the price differences across. No, you don't feel anything about it.
Well, now I know that when I'm very afraid of clutter now.
So Carousel is a good friend.
I hope not to use Carousel though.
Okay.
But now before I buy anything, I think quite hard. It's not just about whether I can afford it, how much it is. It's about, first of all, do I have it already? I think we're in this culture, this consumerism that's so... Okay, we can talk about, like, different countries, being in different countries. Singapore, my goodness, you go to any mall, you will definitely spend money. And becomes like a habit.
Yes.
Right? And I guess speaking to a lot of millennials on the call here, listening, is like very natural.
Yeah.
But I would say that, think twice. Do you really need this? You know? And if you do, then is there another, you know what I learned living overseas is one item can have many uses. You don't need to have, in the kitchen, you don't need to have a knife for cutting avocado, a knife for cutting tomato, okay? You can use one knife for everything. Okay, but that's quite extreme, I know. But definitely in terms of spending habits, that changes, with life stages. And of course, when you get married, of course, when you become a parent, that is the biggest thing. Yeah, I find at first I was, you go to supermarkets, the first area, or when you go to malls, you always go to the kiddie stuff, right? Because that's all you think about. Yeah.
So essentially, there must be some life events that would then change your habits and change your perspective of how you value the dollar.
Yes,
Okay.
but unless something disrupts that.
Yeah, like a crisis, right? Like
a crisis, yes, but also I would say, which now the more I think about it, is having a good mentor. When you're young, always look for someone older than you who you aspire to be like.
Yeah.
And if that person, I used to think, I know someone who happened to have an uncle who was very keen on property. And that uncle, and my friend is like quite blur, right? And this uncle actually told him, hey, you should buy this, and whatever. And so he said, okay, I have some spare cash, I can put it on, I buy it. And he's a millionaire now. So there's a point where, if somebody were to come and give you some ideas, advice, you can take it at that point, that can change your life, right? So it's not necessarily due to life stage, but also this kind of disruptions.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, maybe I also can add on as well. I think it's more also towards how much knowledge you have about financial things like that. Because what I observe among my age group and the age group that's older than me is that our age group is that we will spend now, think later lah. Savings is kind of like a long, very painful thing. Yeah. So, and especially because of I would say generation changes, transformational changes in the market. Like right now, we just tap on our phone, like Lazada, Shopee, we can instantly buy something and then deliver
Shopee
to
keep bombarding you
Yes,
right, every day.
correct.
Shop, beep, beep, beep.
Correct. And then,
I also know how to sing the jingle, although I never use.
and like what you say about carousel, it's like we don't need it, we just sell on a carousel, so we will not think that lifespan is that long. We just think about now. It's the very instant gratification kind of thing that a lot of young millennials we are having, because right now even travel is so cheap. I mean, like pre-COVID so we will go.
Oh, now even
friends.
cheaper.
Even you can see that the primary.
If you can go.
Yeah, well, right now the primary school students are buying Starbucks. Oh my God, I mean, like you can. I mean, like my age. I mean, like my era also, I was like, I can't even afford a Starbucks, We will save that money to buy another bigger toy, Yeah, so I would say it's also a bit of generational changes and also the peer pressure as well. And right now is that, I'm not just spending, it's also for investment. There's so many investment platforms and like, for example, crypto, I would say stock shares that you can go in as low as $1,000 because right now, because of the fintech development, right? Like the younger generation, we tend to not going so much of fact finding. We just, friends say good, this is good, and then we just go in. Yeah, so that's where a lot of young people like us got burned because we don't have much financial knowledge about how it works. We don't really go in depth to study how it works, and then we just want to get quick reach. Yeah.
You need to subscribe to the podcast.
I think this is a lot of millennials what we're facing because nowadays I always heard a lot of friends say, I lend my friends money, then go investment. We definitely in the early 20s we hit this kind of lessons. Actually we can bypass all these lessons by like what she said, find the right mentor or even listen to a podcast.
Thanks for plugging. And actually I want to elaborate on what you just said, right? You realize that this is not unique to the millennial generation. Actually, it's just the previous generation have all made their mistakes also.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just that in our current generation, some of the things are different because of increased accessibility, right?
Yes.
Because all this kind of fintech, you can now easily and readily do it, right? So, for all you millennials out there, don't bash yourself if you made some mistakes, and definitely talk to people that are wise, and we will have a deeper discussion about what is wise, as we go along. So no worries about that. And to sum up, the session today, I know you ladies are way more than just about finance, right? So could each of you just kind of share with us, some life lesson that you would love to share with all the young ladies tuning in today?
So I just want to link this in with exactly what Evelyn was saying, in terms of investments. I mean, of course, that's really what I'm passionate about right now. But also, Reggie, I've listened to your podcast, and I know you like to go by 3 points.
Yes.
I've done homework.
Yeah, got to do homework.
So I have 3 points to share.
Yes.
Okay. So the first one is diversification. So, diversification in the investments, yes, in finances, but also in terms of friends. Okay. And maybe I say that from experience, and that, don't... I tell my kids now, in the canteen at recess, don't just sit with the same people. Of course, they don't understand, right? Because they are like primary school. But I mean, just trying to open up, there's so many different people, so interesting. Everyone has different stories, join different groups, go to different social gatherings and all that, and widen that perspective. So diversification,
Point number 2?
Point number 2 is the power of compounding. Yeah, and oh my goodness, Albert Einstein said it's the eighth wonder of the world, and very often, yes, when I do speak to millennials, it's like, oh, I just started working, I want to enjoy, which pub shall we go, and whereas we go to like, hey, we got free drinks tonight, ladies' night, I got a whole list of ladies' night, wow, we go pub hopping, but that's precisely why you should get started, because you have time on your side. I did this calculation. If you set aside $1,000 a month in an investment vehicle that you 6.5% a year, in 20 years, you would have $500,000. Yeah, and that's the power of compounding. And setting aside $1,000 a month, I don't know, maybe to some people, it's quite a lot, but that's just the idea. You can start with 200, 500, at least get started, and at least that's a good habit to form. I mean, especially as young as possible. Right? And also Google the rule of 72. I think that's one good thing there. And the third thing, again, I come back to finding a mentor. And not just on a financial side of things, but where you want to go, in life, what you want to do. Where do you aspire to be in 5-10 years' time? And it could be a family member, an auntie even, or a colleague, even your boss. It could be, right? And what I'd say is, invite them out for coffee, say buy them lunch, ask them questions, listen to their advice, be open-minded. And that is so good if you can learn from someone who's done it before, yeah. Usually they will end up paying for the lunch anyway.
Yeah. From my personal experience, that's the same case also. They'll might say, you listen to
but
me.
I don't know, maybe it's age or what. I feel like I really have so much to share. That's why Evelyn, dear, we are going to have coffee soon, yeah. But, I feel like I want to share so much, And so when you're a millennial, grasp this opportunity when people love to teach you, and then you don't have to go through it yourself, right?
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, I also have 3 points.
Okay.
That's cool. Okay.
Okay.
Point number 1 is need versus want. So what you do is like when you see something that you want to buy, right? Just hold first. Think about it for 24 hours. If it's still desirable for you after 24 hours, then you probably need it in a sense. So I have like $100 in my pocket. I can go in a shopping center and still come out with $100. Now, that's the power of self-control. And also think like, if it's a need, right, what do you need it for? Are you going to use it like more than 5 times? If not, then don't bother, basically. So number 2 is set up boxes. So pay yourself first. So when your salary comes in, right, put 10% aside for yourself. And then if you're husband and wife, do the same thing. Now, I have my own account. My husband has his own account, and we have a joint account. So all the salaries will come into the joint account. Then we give ourselves, 2 boxes each. One for our own savings, and one for the for us to spend. And then the rest is to pay bills and everything. So that's another thing. The third thing is join our mistress class. Because, why I say join a mistress class, so if you need explanation, ask to join into the FB private page, all the explanation there. But why I say join that is because we have people like Jeanette and Evelyn there, with all the thing in a sense, like coming back to the mentors. You don't need just one mentor. You can have a few mentors in a sense with different facets of your life or seasons of your life too. So Mistress Class has got people that can give you some advice, help you through the emotional roller coaster. So because it's not just a matter of saving money, what about losing money? What about when you lost your job? What about, you don't know when the next meal is coming or these things? You need all the support. And we are here to form a net to catch you before you fall, basically. So it's Mistress Class, okay? It's SG_Mistress Class. Yeah, it's nothing to do with that extra woman. So just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's cool. Yes, Evelyn.
Okay, so 3 points as well. More towards young women. Love yourself first. It's okay to be alone. A lot of women, it's like they are coming 30s, they'll start panicking that, oh my God, am I going to be spinster? So they start to go to Tinder, a lot of dates. You don't need that. You see, if we invest in ourselves, be emotionally rich, be confident in what we're doing, add values to people, we'll live a fulfilling life and attract the right people into our life, right? So there's no scarcity in it. It's a life of abundance. Secondly, be like water. And I think that it's a privilege to be a woman in this era. You can be like, show your feminism as soft approach when you saw some men like being angry and things like just tete a bit, soft approach. Yeah, and then right after that, when the person like come down, you can show your masculinity to be tough, show your tough side. So can be like water. We just need to know how to use that, right, at the right setting. Thirdly, is self-sufficiency. Yeah, so I think just now you mentioned, right, it's not just financially and also emotionally, and most importantly, it's our intelligence as well, financial intelligence as well. To hear our inner voice, when there's something that we want to voice up, step up and voice up. Yeah. And lastly, willpower will not last. I think you guys are my Mistress Club, and Financial Coconut has a very great environment. Relate ourselves in the right environment, right? That's where we can grow together. Right, so that's all I feel like sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I don't think I really need to plug myself anymore. The ladies have done a great job in sharing with all of you today, and definitely check out Mistress Class on Facebook. And for any more future episode, definitely continue to join us at the Financial Coconut. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I hope you learned something useful today and truly appreciate that you took time off to better your life with the Financial Coconut. Knowledge is that much more powerful and interesting when shared, debated, and discussed. I hope you would share what you gained with people you love, and I want to hear from you. Give me some questions and help me along with building a community of financially savvy coconuts. I hope together we can fulfill our curious minds and our desire for clarity. Join our community Telegram group, reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, everything is in the description below. If you enjoy the podcast and feel you want to keep us growing and stay independent, do buy us a Ko-fi at ko-fi.com. With that, have a great day ahead, stay tuned next week, and always remember, personal finance can be chill, clear, and sustainable for all. Test. Wow, it was fun. Not easy, managing so many women in the house. But I hope you learned something useful. And for the ladies at the Mistress Class, they definitely focus a lot more on the human emotion, the human psyche, the individual growth as a woman beyond just personal finance. So if you have other questions, you want to reach out to them, head over to the Mistress Class. For next week, we're going to spend some time to talk about this thing called hype ETFs, which means ETFs that are created out of hype. Like now it's the work from home hype, right? Before there was a cannabis hype, there was a robotics hype, there was all kinds of hype. And a lot of these hype ETFs, or some after the hype, they're called theme ETFs, they don't really perform as well. And we'll spend a little bit more time to talk about why, hype ETFs tend to fail. Right, and because I know a lot of people want to learn to invest and do all this kind of stuff, and ETFs is like a thing now, right? So yeah, next week we're gonna spend some time gonna give you 3 reasons to share with you why hype ETFs tend to fail expectations. See ya next week.